It's Julia Renee.
And Kendall Aaliyah. Welcome back to the Know Your Power podcast.
Hi guys.
Hi y'all.
How's it going?
What is up?
What's up? Are you prep brain yet? Because I'm prep brain.
I'm a little bit. This week has been, I've been tired.
This week has been tired, I think is the statement that encompasses how we're doing.
I've been tired. I think this is the first time that I'm like, oh, okay, my strength is going down a little bit.
I feel that, and I think I'm in denial, but then I went and got a massage recently, and I was really, really bad. He went into my glutes, and I was, like, seriously in so much pain. And then he, like, asked the question of, like, hey, like, do you cut back training at all because your recovery's not good right now? And I said, nope. I said, I'm pushing harder.
What are you talking about?
Granted, he's not in the bodybuilding space, but I was
Yes.
like, no, actually, I'm pushing a lot harder for some
I'm
reason.
actually pushing twice as hard. So
Even though I'm fueling my body substantially less.
do the math on that.
Yeah, so that's how I'm doing. I feel the same way where it's like I'm starting to forget things a little more. I'm a little less good at texting and responding, and I need to stay on top of like my mental sharpness.
I always know when something's going on with you because she just doesn't answer her texts.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
sorry.
she'll be back in a couple days when she works through it. And then she comes back and that was today. With both of us, like we both know when something is getting worked through because we just do it. And then like instead of worrying, like we don't really worry because we already know. And I'm like, she'll come back.
Yeah.
She'll come back when she's
ready.
ready.
I feel that.
You know?
I think like this past week, I think coming back from vacation, it's been hard since then because once your like routine is obstructed, changed, like something isn't normal, getting back into it felt 10 times harder. And it wasn't like, it has been nothing prep related where like my cardio feels good, my workouts feel good, like I feel good. I have just like not wanted to post or talk to anyone. I just want to like hermit almost and just focus on prep. So, and that's kind of what you have to do at a certain point because like, at a certain point, you only have so much energy. It's like you need to put it in the thing you're working so hard towards. So I'm trying to find balance now of like, okay, still be there with my friends and family and do all the things. And yeah.
And then go home and hide under my
Yes,
blanket.
Exactly.
I did watch your YouTube video this morning.
I saw your comment and I was gonna cry. You're so nice.
I was gonna cry watching you. It's so sad.
I
was like, why are you crying, man? Don't cry.
I just kept laughing at me crying.
I know, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because it's like I feel crazy as I'm being
But I'm
crazy.
watching it and I'm like, it's not crazy.
Oh, thanks.
I'm like, I was laughing when you were laughing because it's not crazy.
Yeah.
But because we get it, and all you girlies who are bodybuilders out there too, like understand. But maybe like from an outside perspective, they're like, huh?
Like I just felt, I feel like I'm not a dramatic person and I felt so dramatic because I'm like, this is like I could have easily, it could have been a text. It could have been like, hey guys, going bikini. But instead, like I worked it up so much in my brain. As you know, I came to you 2 months ago with this topic and I spiraled then. And then I tried filming my explanation of like how I'm feeling, potentially not going well in this like 200 times. Like picked up my camera so many times. And I didn't know
like,
how to word it.
Why am I making this so like?
I know.
Maybe it was like you were saying it out loud bigger.
I wasn't even saying it to myself though.
Maybe
if
that's
anything,
the thing.
I think what was happening, and just for reference, because I don't expect everyone listening to this to know what we're talking about, I am most likely going bikini this year, this competition season, and that felt like the biggest decision of my life for some reason, and I think it's because I felt such a tie to wellness, and like on this podcast we talk so much about that division, and like most of the people I follow are in that division where I just like I feel like it's almost like that's like my little safe category and I'm scared to go bikini. It's a scary thing to like try to go back to this division I used to do and was never great at. So it's like I have to believe in myself that this year's going to be different and my body is so different.
The decision.
No, but most likely. Just like objectively looking at my physique, I think I lean more bikini. I think I am still nervous of like, what if I don't lean out and look like a bikini girl?
I still just think you're too muscular.
That's where, but I think then like people give their opinions. This is my first time ever like posting my prep, and a lot of people I think are getting in my head because I'll read comments that are like, respectfully, this is what they say, is like, I don't think you're muscular enough for wellness. And I know I'm on the small side for wellness, and it's like those comments were making me react, which is how I think I know that they're slightly right.
That's true. Not saying that they're right, but like when I get like if there is a reoccurring comment, and it does trigger me, because like with the years of posting now, it's like people can say the most heinous things, like, and men can send me the most heinous things, and I'm like, it's just another day on, like, it's just another day of being vulnerable and sharing your life on social media. But when something triggers you in a way that's like often, because we talked about this 2 months ago, and you had the level of awareness to be like, well, 2 months ago it was bothering me, and 2 months later it's still bothering me. So maybe there is something here that I need to like think about. And one thing about you is that you will.
Oh, I will think about it.
You will think about it, and you will think about it, but I do love that about you, because me, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And then I'm like, wait, hold on, do you even have the bandwidth? Is this a good idea?
That's why, like, I would love to say it. I would love to just be like, hey, I'm doing bikini and that's that. But I might lean out and feel and look and proportionately not fit bikini. And then I don't want to have to come back to YouTube or to you guys or to whoever and be like, oh, so I lied and I actually am doing the original plan. So like, I'm still just prepping to prep, and I think I'll just see as my body continues to change. I still have so much body fat to lose, to be honest, that I don't know exactly how I'm going to look yet. And my body's so different now. I'm holding body fat and muscle differently than any time I've ever competed.
I feel the same way this prep. Like this week is like a week of me just feeling small.
Literally not at all.
Literally, like I keep, like every morning during cardio, I'm like, I am withering away to nothing. I have no muscle. I am so small. I can't. And it's like, there is a point in prep where, and I actually talked about this on my YouTube channel, because I was like, guys, I feel small. I'm gonna be real, like I feel like I'm small. And then I have other people on Instagram who are like, your glutes really did grow, and then I'm like, bitch, no, I haven't. And then I'm like, and then I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, yes, they did. And then I'm like, no, they're not. And this is. So
that's how I feel. Where like, when I see a comment telling me I should go bikini, then I look at my physique and I'm like, they're right. My quads are not on a wellness girl's level, but then I kind of turn a little and I'm like, but my hamstrings are low-key huge. Like, are they too big for bikini? So then it's just so conflicting.
Like, I really think you are, and I think
you see me in person. So we have different views we
also have drastically different physiques with like muscle, like I have short muscle bellies. And I am 5'2". Kendall, you're 5'7", right?
Yeah, 5'7",
and super long muscle bellies. So like,
so my first time trying to talk about this on YouTube, like that initial, because if you watch the video, I cut to future me because I rambled for
You're like, I'm sick of that girl.
Like,
let's cut to me now.
I was so annoyed with myself, and it's because I was coming from a place of defensiveness, where I was like, trust me guys, I'm muscular. And it's like, okay, like let's be real here, let's be more honest here, because
like, I don't need to prove anything.
I don't need to be defensive. And at the end of the day, like, those comments can't bother me. And so I cut what my boyfriend had said before I started laughing while crying.
Oh, yeah.
When he had said to me, because he entered the car, not the whole time. Okay. He entered the car, I was trying to explain it to him, and I was like, I was telling them this, and this is how I feel, and then I started crying, and then it was just funny. What was I about to say?
You were going to say what Cooper said.
I cut to me saying, agreed, and then I start crying again. He said, they're not the judges, so what do the comments matter? And I said,
Cooper! Cooper with the freaking mic drop, Cooper.
Thank you.
I think we all need, like, this is like, we all need somebody who is not in prep and also, like, kind of detached from it to just be like, what? Stop.
That's why I kept laughing, because I was like, oh, being around you makes me realize how unserious this is.
Yeah, right? I love that.
So anyway, yeah, that's the dilemma. There's a huge chance I'm going bikini this year. For some reason, it made me super emotional. I feel like I'm less emotional now that I've actually processed that thought. And since posting that even, which I know I posted it like maybe 24 hours ago, I have gotten like so much, first off, love, and I appreciate everyone's responses, including yours, so much. It means a lot to me, because you know I've been battling in my own head about it. But also like a lot of affirmation of like people supporting if I go bikini and saying that I could fit it. And I was like, I like hearing that, because if that's the direction I head in, I just didn't want to like disappoint the people who follow us because of wellness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but like also like people can follow us both and because we're wellness, and like that's cool. But then also people can follow us also because we're two different divisions, if that does end up being the case. And now we have a side, like we have both sides. We've also had like Alexa on here, who's a figure competitor.
Yeah. We're just collecting all the Pokemon.
Yeah, we're collecting all the data. We're collecting it all.
Anyway, I'll let you guys know when I officially decide, which won't be until I'm lean enough to tell.
I'm wondering, like, probably like a 4 week out.
Yeah.
4 weeks out is when coach will be telling me, like, yes, we're doing said projected show date.
Yeah, which that too, I feel like goes a line for me, is like when I pick my show day, I'll obviously also pick what division I'm doing. Or I'll do both. At the NPC level, I totally could.
And then you can actually get feedback from the coaches that has nothing to do with randoms on YouTube.
Yep, exactly. Anyway, I feel like I rambled for so long about that. Sorry.
It's okay.
It was a big deal.
We needed to know. We needed to know.
Okay, today's actual video topic after that is 10 things we wish we knew before we started bodybuilding. And while I'm talking about like all of these can be and are bodybuilding specific, they also all kind of pertain to like fitness journeys and taking fitness seriously as a whole. I think like this is kind of like a letter to younger Kendall of like, hey, I wish I knew these things or understood these things or just saw some of these coming, if that makes sense.
True.
The first one being, not everyone will understand the journey, and that's okay. We talked about this last episode when answering a listener's question who like her family wasn't being super supportive. Maybe they were making comments here and there. And we've talked in our own journey, like we have lost friendships, relationships even, some family members that we don't talk to about certain things because of this topic. And I think when I was getting into fitness, like I felt the pressure to have everyone be on my side and understand what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I think like through the years, and some of that just comes with like age and being like, I'm my own adult and that's okay. I don't feel the need to please everyone anymore or feel like I need to over-explain just because they aren't supportive of my journey or my goals or competing or whatever that looks like.
No, I do agree with that. And I think that's just in general with life too. Like we go through seasons where like I still know people that are like friends with people from high school. That's not me.
I don't know I do not keep up with anyone from high school.
Yeah, and like it does work for some people where like they are able to change and evolve like through the seasons, and it was just not me. And like same with when I was a hairstylist and stuff, like we all had a common interest, and the common interest was hair and makeup and like this career, and then my interests started to shift and they were complete opposite of like what we were doing and what the dynamic was like. So I did like I started getting invited to places less. Like they were just like, she's gonna say no, she's going to the gym, or she's not gonna go out on the weekends because she's got to get up and go to the gym.
That's kind of what happened to
drink.
me was like my friend group when I was really getting serious about fitness. And this was like after high school. These were like my older friends. But I was still the youngest of the group. So I think I was like 20, 21, and all of them were in their late 20s, and they would go out every weekend. And I, of course, like started saying no, and same thing, they stopped inviting me. And so then it was like well, I don't want to invite them to this thing because they're not interested in the same thing. And then they were like, well, we're not inviting her to our thing because she's going to say no. And I feel like it doesn't always need to be like this whole big ordeal. I think sometimes we just like are on different vibrations and like moving differently, different like objectives of what you want out of your day or your week or your life that you have to cut people out or they will cut you out, and that's okay.
Yeah, or it's just this like slow kind of, what's it called? It's like called something where it's not the no contact, it's low contact.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the low contact, the low contact people where it just kind of like, it starts to like phase out, you know, you go into different aspects of your life and that's completely okay, but it can be a little bit lonely. I've had a lot of people that have messaged like around this topic with bodybuilding being lonely or just their fitness fitness.
We're not recording.
What?
Oh no! We jinxed ourselves at the beginning. I could use audio if you would like to continue.
Should we press it and do the rest?
Honestly, we can just use that. I did that once and it sounded okay. It's not perfect, but it sounded okay.
Okay. Why are we even talking to these? We're literally playing pretend right now. We're like playing dress up as podcasters. What is going on?
I have to leave this in.
Oh, we're literally sitting here with the mics like, hi, I have a podcast and we're not even recording.
Honestly, it's all podcasting is. As long as that's recording, we're good. I looked down because I was like, we have a lot to go through. And I was like, how much did I spend? And I was like, oh no.
Why are we even still trying to talk into this mic?
Honestly, because it's more comfortable. I don't know. It feels weird looking at them in the eyes.
Anyways, yes, not everyone's going to understand your journey.
I also wish I could have told the younger me that more and better relationships and friendships will come from this journey.
100%.
Because I think when you're working on yourself mentally and physically, you attract a different type of person and a different type of friend.
You do.
And like our friend group now, I feel like is on, like you guys all push me to grow. Hopefully I do the same in some ways. And I feel like we all level up together. And that's like way more fulfilling of like a friendship and relationship.
Exactly. And it's like all of us do different modalities of training and how we move our body, but like the same core values are there, and that's what really matters the most. And you might lose some people along the way, and there's a little bit of a grieving process that'll come with that, but put yourself out there and start going into those other a little maybe uncomfortable situations.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is bodybuilding is more mental than physical. Mindset will make or break you. We have said this every time we talk about like newbies getting into bodybuilding or people like taking it to that next level. We talk about this every time. We're like making sure your mental health is in check because our bodies can push to limits, but if our mental health and our mental limits on ourselves don't allow us to even try or get there, then you're destined to respectfully fail because you have to be resilient.
It's very true. I think this was confirmed even further after my jiu-jitsu match because I had never taken my body to that level of exhaustion. Like my entire body, I couldn't feel it. And I have prepped years and years, and yes, bodybuilding is very difficult, and it's like a prolonged amount of time versus like that was 5 minutes, but it made me realize even more that wow, my body literally can go a lot further than I thought that it could, and it really is just mental at that point of how are you responding to things when they get hard, or your body changes, or the lack thereof body changes. Other people's like opinions about it. All of that stuff is so important in this sport, and it really does make or break people. And that's why we really encourage people to have a pretty good grasp on their relationship with themselves, their mental health, before even getting into it. Because if you're not aware of it now, you will be then.
Agreed. I feel like it shows you like all the little demons you were sweeping under the rug. It's like, oh, here they are, because it really just becomes like you against you at a certain point, not to be like tacky about it. But I agree. We're like, you just need to have a good head on your shoulders,
Yeah.
or like you can't expect mental health to get like better while you're putting yourself through something so challenging.
Yeah, because you're already you're under resourced when you're in prep. So when we're resourced and we're full energy, full lots of food, like we're going out and doing things and being more social, like you're more resourced. And you have the energy to actually hide things a lot better and to mask and all of that. Versus when you're under-resourced, maybe you're a little irritable, you're hungry, you have racing thoughts. It's so much easier to just fall into that trap.
Agreed. And that's when people like quit or give up or feel like they're failing, even if you're not, just because like you have to push past that at a certain point. The next one, which is kind of similar or ties in a little bit, is your relationship with your body will evolve. Goals, standards, and self-image will all shift over time. I view this as like a positive one where I like set out on my fitness journey and I was like, I'm gonna achieve this. And then you hit that and you keep going and you realize you're actually capable of more and you can keep growing and evolving. It can also be a little bit on the negative side where maybe you've never experienced body dysmorphia. Maybe you've never been this hard on yourself before. Maybe you unlock like new, I guess like flaws you see in yourself as your body changes, where sometimes even as far as like the goal setting, I'll set out for a certain physique and I'll get that physique and maybe I'm actually not comfortable in my skin like that. Maybe I'm like, I've talked about how I used to have a more developed upper body in my opinion. My arms were bigger years ago in training because that was my goal. And then I got there and I was like, oh, actually I wish my upper body was a little smaller, and I cut back. And that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. It's just like certain goals might shift and that's okay.
I also think one thing that I wish I would have known about bodybuilding is that it almost like warps your perception of bodies.
1,000,000%.
Like you start looking at bodies as, I don't know, like.
It's almost like reading a spreadsheet.
Yes. Instead of just being like, wow, like that person is beautiful, you start like, okay, their glute ham tie-in, their rear delts, and like, oh, maybe they're holding on to water. Like, not that I would do that, but because we can get so connected and fine-tune about how our physique is looking, that like you start viewing bodies that way, but then you also start viewing yours that way, to where if you're not super lean, which isn't realistic and sustainable for periods of time, I also don't want to feel the way that I feel when I am that lean for year round whatsoever. So you start viewing your body differently, and your standards and of which you hold your body to start to get more unrealistic, even when you go back to a healthy body fat where you should be. And that could be really annoying.
I actually have one that wasn't until later on this list, but I feel like it ties so well into that. And that is that social media can warp your perception. Stay grounded in your own journey. Because not only is there our own perception of the people around us or like our own bodies, but when your whole entire social media feed, if you're a fitness girly, it's likely other fitness girlies. And if you're only seeing, like right now, of course, like a lot of shows are coming up. Nationals are currently going on and just happened. Like, a lot of my feed is stage lean level woman and they look amazing, but it is very easy to forget that that is not how the general population looks.
No.
That is like you are seeing the 1% on your feed, but when you only see the 1%, you become, I guess like in a way we compare ourselves to that instead of like, oh, like look at the bodybuilding world is so teeny tiny. Little bit bigger is like people who work out. And then like way bigger is just like everyday non-gym going people. And I feel like when you compare yourself to only that 1%, it's so easy to forget how far you've come like in your own journey, and you gotta get lost in that comparison game.
Oh, definitely. Especially if you are just following like a lot of IFBB pros and like Olympians and
like
stuff.
They look like that all the time, and it's like they don't. Not even them look like that all the time.
Yeah. It does feel like some of them genuinely do because they're constantly competing. But there are a lot that repost stuff, for old stuff.
We've done it.
I have found.
Yeah.
Because I will be like, well, like, oh my, does she ever take an off season?
It's like,
are you okay? And I'm like,
usually-
oh, she's posting old stuff. Okay.
we're usually doing less photo shoots and less like planned things like that when we're in our off season compared to on season. So like, of course, if you have so much more footage and documentation of your prep or of your show week even,
True.
it's easy to like share that or sprinkle it in throughout your whole journey. And I feel like, take it from two girls who share our preps on social media, I feel like even though we are just as vulnerable as it gets, I feel like they know everything about our lives. It's like there is still that like, I'm not gonna share every insecurity online. I'm not gonna like, oh, all my photos are still posed and I care about lighting and I care about angles. Like nothing is as realistic as you think it is on social media, like almost ever. I know there's some creators that really share everything, but like it's still like a perfected or glamorized version of us always.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is
YouTube less so, but Instagram for sure.
Yeah. If I shared every little thought that went on my mind,
No one would follow us, I fear.
they'd be like, Julia,
Are we okay?
blink twice if you need help. Just kidding.
So yeah, that's just a good reminder that ties into that like relationship with our bodies, because do not let outside voices or outside like sources sway you in your own journey. That's something I got so caught into as a teenager, where I was like I idolized other fitness girls so much, almost too much, that I forgot they were like real people that also had flaws and also had insecurities. So
you know what's crazy?
Yes.
So one of the people, like the two people that I started watching, like before I even got into bodybuilding, was the KK Fit twins.
Love them, yeah.
And I remember watching them, and I would watch their bulking and cutting series and stuff like that when they would do it. And they were like one of, I would say I was watching like 5 solid people before I even like started, just to like get like the inspiration. And it is really cool to see how their content has actually changed, and then realizing that, wow, back then when I was watching them, I'm now like 5 or 6 years later getting to see how she really felt in that moment.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
And if you guys haven't been watching any of their content, like go watch them. I've messaged back and forth. I'm not sure which one of them, because they share the same page.
Yeah.
But back and forth, and they're so sweet. I actually got to meet them in person. I forgot I got to meet them in person at an event one time.
I met them when I was 16 or 17. I waited my ass in line to meet them. Like, I was such a fan of theirs.
They're so cool.
And they've been transparent since day one. But again, like what you're saying, maybe they didn't share like the full spectrum.
Or maybe
promotion.
they just didn't know about it then. You know what I mean? Like they're like in their 30s now.
Yeah.
Like you have time to reflect, and it's just really cool to see them sharing their journey now of, okay, back then, I'm like, oh, that's when I was watching you. This is how 5 years later she now feels about it. And you know, she's gone through, like, both of them have gone through like health journeys with their body. It's just really cool.
I like that they've always shared it all.
Yeah.
They're a good duo.
Cute.
I thought they were one person for a good year.
You did?
The first year I followed them. Because I think they used to just post individually, and then they started doing shoots together.
Yes.
And I was like, there's two. And then they got sponsored by Gymshark and that whole like world.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is balance is the secret to longevity. Extremes aren't sustainable. Again, going back to like who I followed back then, I thought everyone was always either like drastically bulking, drastically cutting, always in prep, always stepping on stage. And I think when I got into all of this, I didn't realize how non-sustainable a lot of that lifestyle is, where you need to find balance. It took me years to find balance, and then when I finally did is when I created like a healthy, happy relationship with myself and my body, where like now I love myself through all the phases because I feel balanced and I feel okay in all the phases, instead of feeling like I had to look a certain way and push to a certain extreme all the time.
Exactly. And I actually hear a lot, like, for example, there'll be some girls that'll come like into the program, and like they're with us, the Know Your Power program, by the way, and they'll come with us, and maybe they start with like a 6-week shred or something, and then they end up signing for like more coaching, and then we go from like the shred and stuff into more of like a growth phase. They want to put on muscle mass, like, and there's this constant need of wanting to go back to a shred, And I even had a conversation with one of my girls I believe last week, and we were talking about that. It's like she competed in a show years ago, and now she's going through more of like a health journey, and she has this need to feel like she needs to just go back into prep.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that she can have control.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's where we need to look.
Yeah.
Right there.
It's
because
almost like
you can't always go one way, far one way, where you're, let's call it quote unquote bulking, and you're not really monitoring your food, you're not training, you're not doing your cardio or hitting your steps and stuff, and it just falls off, and then you can't rely on just being shredded all the time and being balls to the wall, all that. Like, there needs to be that medium, and everybody talks about that, like, balance, which seems to be the hardest thing for us to learn.
Yeah, it's almost like too much structure is easier because you know what to expect every day. And I think balance scared me for a long time, but realizing like I wasn't enjoying eating out with people because I felt like a failure if I ate off plan. And it's like
I wasn't fully enjoying either one of those things. Like, if you really think about it, if you just completely like abandon yourself, like your goals, your fitness journey, all of that stuff, that doesn't feel good either.
Yeah, at all. Yeah.
And if we go super extreme, it might look good, like you might like the way, but that comes with other challenges where I've been shredded and still thought I looked like the worst. But it's not sustainable, and like you're tired and like you're hungry, and maybe you don't go out. Like, you're not truly 100% happy with either one of these things. So learning how to balance that in between.
Yeah. It's important. I was really late to that one. The next thing is that progress isn't linear. Expect plateaus, setbacks, and pivots. I feel like my mentality back then, similar to like the not having balance, is like, I need to hustle. I need to like, everything needs to be perfect all the time. If my weight doesn't move every time I step on the scale, I'm doing something wrong. Like, just something along that lines. And I think realizing if you're going into an actual fitness journey, if you're actually going to take bodybuilding seriously, it is a long game, like a very long game. It is constant, like working towards one goal, okay, getting that, working towards the next goal, changing this one micro thing about your physique for a long time, and like just trying to grow that one muscle for a long time, where progress is not always going to look like cut and paste the same for everyone. You're not always going to be like, even in a prep, it's like I might plateau for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm like, oh, I'm giving up now because progress isn't progressing, so I'm done. That also doesn't mean I like go even more ham to try to make up for it. It just means like, oh, like my weight's just gonna change when my weight changes. I'm just gonna stick to the program, you know? So
that's very
that
true.
one was hard for me too. I was like, wait, progress isn't perfect all the time?
Yes, yeah, and I think that we being okay with it changing along the way, because a lot of times, you know, we have a specific goal. Maybe it's like a certain weight, or it's a show that we want to do, or an event we want to be ready for, and we can plan all we want, but there's that phrase, like, when we make plans, God laughs. And there's been so many times just in like my bodybuilding journey that I've made a plan to compete in a show and I wasn't mentally ready for it. That I had a projected time when I was going to get my pro card, and it ended up being a different time. And the thing is that it is easier said than done to do this, but everything is going to happen on the exact right defined timing. I'm telling you.
It's out of our hands.
It's out of our hands.
Is that a song?
Monsters Inc.
Oh.
Actually, I think it says she's out of our hair.
No, I feel like hands sounded right.
I think she's out
out
of our hair. It's when Boo actually runs away and the little green monster is happy because he doesn't want to get in trouble. Mike Wazowski, yes.
Yeah. The next thing is rest and recovery are just as important as training. Don't sleep on sleep. Literally. I, again, like the hustle mentality, the no days off mentality, it does more harm than good at a certain point, because if you are not resting and recovering and fueling your body, then it is almost impossible to make the progress you're trying to make in the gym.
I think that one of my biggest lessons of this prep is that. It was, I'm telling you, it was like as soon as I turned 28, I woke up the next morning, I had smile lines, and I was like, where'd you come from, first of all?
Dude, I feel that now.
I never had smile lines before, and now I do. So I'm never smiling ever again. I will never feel joy.
Now you understand my RBF. I'm just trying to preserve the skin.
That was one thing, and also realizing that I am just not bouncing back as quick as I could. And look, we'll probably have some listeners that are like, shut up, you're 28.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But I'm inching my way to 30, and my body is slowly aging.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad.
As bodies do.
But I am not bouncing back as quickly as I did when I started bodybuilding in my early 20s. And I have put a lot more focus on my recovery. I'm on top of it with my recovery, more than most people. Like, I go to the chiropractor 1 week, get my massage, my gua sha, my scraping, my cupping done like the next week after that. So I'm flip-flopping it. I also do like my spine stretching, my decompression and stuff. I do my stuff, but I've upped it even more as far as like now I'm doing it almost every day in my own way, whether that's like my foam rolling right after my cardio. Basically, I've just had to up it even more and take more into my own hands rather than relying on other people to like do it for my body.
That makes sense.
And wow, yeah. And going to bed earlier, because seriously, you will have better gains. Like, you really will.
I feel like every time I've actually like listened to my body and taken rest, it's like I'm rewarded for it, and it goes, oh, like that's all I needed. Like, oh, actually I needed to like pull back how hard I was training or pushing or how much cardio I was doing because my body was inflamed.
Yes.
So if you are on top of those things, you don't have to reach that point where you have to like fully stop or do a deload week because you're on top of it. Okay, last few, I did jump around, so if I miss any, I'm sorry. This might be 9 tips instead of 10. The scale is not the best progress tracker. Measurements, photos, strength, and how you feel matter more. I was so obsessive with the scale. I feel like so many of us are when we get into our fitness journeys because I think we set out for a number. Tracking progress through measurements and photos, I feel like is way more fulfilling and actually like shows you a lot more of the progress you're making, because I've weighed, just as an example, like I've looked not muscular at all weighing 150 and I've stepped on stage being 150. Like, weight does not equal how you look. Your body fat makeup, your muscle mass makeup, like weight is not equal progress.
Very true. Like, I mean, even in the sense of bodybuilding, if the goal is to progress in the sport and to make adjustments, get better, put on more muscle mass, go back to the drawing board, like, your physique should look different each year.
Yeah. Mine's like drastically different every time I compete, where I'm like, why do I even weigh myself?
Yeah, like this time around, I'm like, I don't understand what's happening and in what order, but you know,
I'll take it.
I'm just gonna, like, my weight still, I'm just gonna trust it. And I think that now, I think one of the realizations that I had is like, man, I'm really maturing. I'm like, because I really don't care. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, you're small. And I'm like, this is a part of it. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm hungry. And I'm like, it's a part of it.
It is nice. I feel
I'm like, you're comparing yourself. And I'm like, it's part of it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I feel like once you've gone through it enough, it's like, you know what to expect, so it becomes easier. Yes. Which is why we're preaching to the younger versions of ourselves today, because I wish I just like came to terms with a lot of these sooner. Yes. The last thing, and the thing we talked about recently in an entire episode, is consistency beats motivation every time. Discipline will carry you when hype fades. This is just like, it's just as it is. I honestly don't even need to add anything, where it's like you need to build consistency and work more on that than feeling like you need to be perfect every day or motivated every day or inspired even or working towards something huge even. It's like every day just try to be like that 1% better and just show up.
Yeah. I think that we, both of us, correct me if I'm wrong, are coming to the end of the boring part of prep, which we like to call, like, this is something that we've kind of like made up. It's like, it's a significant amount of time where every single day is basically just the same thing. And I'm not complaining because I love routine. Yeah. So much so that, like, if I miss something, like every single night, this is what I like have to do. Like, I come downstairs after my work, I put Gilmore Girls on, I don't really listen to it, it's just on. I light both of my candles, I set up everything so it's ready, make sure that the boys are okay, do my skincare. Like, the routine of it, I love. So that's a big part of like the boring prep, where every day is very similar. It's just checking those boxes because you're chipping away. It may not feel like it, but you are. And then it comes to the point in prep where things start changing, whether it's in your nutrition, your cardio increases, it gets more exciting again to where, and harder.
And you're seeing more changes to your
And you're seeing
again.
more changes like drastically. So
I hope I'm coming to the end of the boring part.
I mean, yeah, like we should be ramping up.
Yeah.
Starting
now.
Starting now. And I'm like, dang, like, I guess
I appreciated the boring part.
Thank you for the boring part of prep, but really, it's like, achieving your goals sometimes is really boring.
Uh-huh.
In the sense of, like, bodybuilding too, where a lot of it is just checking off the boxes. Cool. I hit my meal plan, check. I did my cardio, check. I did my training to the best of my ability, check. Recover. Wake up again, repeat. A lot of people get bored with that. Like, we're humans. We like all of the dopamine.
I do feel like you have to kind of love it, because we are both that way, where we appreciate the routine even if it's boring. And I feel like you have to, because if not, you're going to stop being as consistent. If
you can find a way to love like the mundane aspects of prep, then you should be very successful.
Vlogging honestly has helped me so much with that, because I'm like, oh, I wake up and another day of cardio, but then when I'm filming, I'm like, we get to go to do cardio and I get to film it, and I'm like,
that's so true.
It's so lame, but it like adds a new layer of like excitement, where I'm like, oh, I'm not just doing cardio, we're doing
it together. I was talking about that on my recent YouTube video. I started doing these journal entries for my prep, so I'm posting 3 times a week, where the 2 of them are just like more day in the life stuff, and then the other one is just like a 5-minute sit down journal entry of how I feel this week, and then we can put them all together and just see how like my mindset changes and things that come up and stuff like that. And during that, I was telling them that based on the feedback that I was getting on my YouTube channel from like the views and the things that people like, they genuinely just like watching me do the same thing every day. And I had such a resistance to doing day in the lives each
time. That's
how
I felt too, yeah.
But the people in the comments, my subscribers, which are incredible, like they were like, we love watching it because it is the reality of what you do. It's like the consistency, the discipline and dedication, even if every day kind of looks the same, we love being with you to see that. And I'm like, cool.
Sick.
All right,
Thanks for being here.
We're gonna do it. I'll be wearing a different outfit every day.
Even then, sometimes I wear the same thing, and I'm like, wow, now it's really
yes. And I'm like, hey guys, today we're gonna eat the same pre-workout meal that I've been eating for 4 months. We're also going to wear a different color Buff Bunny outfit.
Oh yeah, I saw your story yesterday. I thought that was so funny. You were like,
that was
the
when I had
same meal I always eat.
Yep.
Oh,
and I'm like, well, maybe I'll change the camera angle this time.
Change the lighting.
This time I'll open my fridge. This time I'll do it from above, because I just don't want them to be bored. But they already said they're cool. So
thanks. I appreciate y'all. Those are the 10-ish tips. I might have missed one because I bounced around. That I wish I knew before I started bodybuilding or taking fitness more seriously in general. I'm sure the list is even longer. We could talk all day on like, I wish I knew this thing, I wish I knew that. But at the end of the day, like as long as you're starting and as long as you're trying, that's like half the battle. So
big facts, people. And also, one idea that I had was during this journey, that because Kendall and I are both cutting for a show, we have a goal of us potentially doing a pro-am where we will compete in the same show. But as we're going through this, I had the idea of us doing our own little like journal entry prep updates together of like how we're both feeling, even if it is like like a shorter episode of just like, okay, this week my calories are cut, I feel like trash, or like whatever.
Just a real check-in.
Not like every single week, but maybe like every other week we do that with you guys. So comment down below if you guys want us to do that.
Yeah. Then I'll cry over here instead of on my YouTube.
You could do both.
Share the wealth.
We could do it on Instagram. We could do it on YouTube. Let's do all of the cries, because by the time we do it on all the platforms,
it'll be show day.
It'll be show day. All right, y'all. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, we love you all so much, and you are more powerful than you think.
Bye.